This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, August 9th, 2006, and this is episode number 137 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from MGMstudios.org. On the show today is a sick Mike Newell of MouseWorldRadio.com. It's good that you coughed because when I said that didn't really sound like you were that sick, a different kind of sick. Welcome, Mike.
I'm here, though. I'm here.
What a trooper. We've also got Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, for your safety, I've invented rails for you to lean on. I call them lean rails. Please do not sit on the lean rails because they're there to lean on.
And we have Len Tessa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World, which is coming out any day now on the 21st on Amazon. Right, Len?
August 21st on Amazon.com. Sooner at Frommer's.com.
Ooh. Well, it's Wednesday, and we're answering listener questions. So we'll start off with our first question from Jennifer in Connecticut, who writes, Hi, guys. I'm planning a trip to Walt Disney World soon. I've been listening to your show for about a month or so, including some of the back episodes. I've got a question from what I've heard. On another show, you mentioned a good way to save money was to bring your own water to the park. Can you elaborate on what this means to a family flying in and using Magical Express? We won't be going to a grocery store while we are in Orlando, and I'm not sure I want a case of water in my luggage. What if it breaks? Is the tap water really that bad? Do they not have drinking fountains in the park where we can refill our water bottles?
Yeah, I think that's what we mean, Matt. The thing that I do typically is I buy my first bottle of water, somewhere in Walt Disney World, and I pay the $2 for it. But that's usually it until a couple days into the trip. So I'll reuse the same bottle and clean it out every night with soap from the resort. But go ahead.
I was saying I've said this before on the show, but my favorite method is to buy a case of water at wherever, your supermarket at home, wherever. Put it in a duffel bag, its own bag. Use Disney's Magical Express to have it. You bring it to the airport, obviously. That's the lugging part that you have to do. But then it's tagged Magical Express, and when you get down to Disney in Orlando, they lug it for you to the resort. So you only have to lug it one way. And then obviously when you're coming back, you've got an empty bag, and you can put all the sorts of goodies that you bought in the park, like Wonka bars.
There's something wrong with that, from everything from high airline prices to global warming. Why would you consume the jet fuel to port water from New Hampshire, wherever the heck you live, to Florida, man? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that way you can.
Somewhere Al Gore is crying right now.
It works, man. Don't argue with it.
It works, but I mean, okay, 10 out of 10 for style points, dude, but really, 1 out of 10 for economy. I mean, you're probably spending $50 in jet fuel. So you make the Thanksgiving dinner, you put it in a bag, you fly it down to... All right, go ahead.
Time to move on to our next question, which comes from Melissa from Atlanta, Georgia, who writes, Hi, Matt et al. First off, I love the podcast. Keep up the great work. Secondly, I was listening to another podcast the other day that mentioned that Mission Space had 13 warning signs, and I couldn't help but wonder about the significance of that number, 13. Now, I'm not all that superstitious myself, but I know many people are, and I couldn't help but wonder whether the fact that Mission Space has 13 signs has something to do with the deaths and all the problems that have plagued the attraction. Insert superstitious scary music here. Just thought I'd throw that out there and see what anyone thought. P.S. I hope you realize I'm being more than a little tongue-in-cheek here.
I thought they only had 7 warnings, but maybe they've added a few more, like 3 for every death or something.
Nice one.
Well, they added a couple for the yellow line or whatever, the chicken line.
Yellow and green, baby. Instead of orange and green. That would have been awesome. Yeah, I don't think there's any significance to the number. And again, the last time I counted it was 7, but I'm sure they've added more.
Yeah, that's right.
Our next email is from Alan Perkins of Queens, New York, who writes, Here's a question for you. I'm frustrated with the inability to get to Downtown Disney from the parks. Each time I go to Downtown Disney from one of the parks, I have to take a bus to the closest resort first and transfer. Aside from renting a car, what are your recommendations for the best way to get to Downtown Disney from each park?
I thought there were buses that go to Downtown Disney from...
I know there are from the resorts, because there's the stops for each of the parks, and then there's a stop for Downtown Disney. And then they throw on one of the water parks, with like the Epcot bus or whatever. But is there a bus from the park?
I thought there was.
Not that I know of.
Hold on one second.
It's
let me check.
always changing. It's always changing, though. That's the thing. You know what?
I thought there
what
was
could be
from the
true
park.
today.
But hold on one second. Go to the next question. I'll find out.
Sure. Well, our next question is a little bit of a funny one. It's from Steve Holloway, who wrote in a top 10 ways you know you've been to Disney World too many times. Number 10, when you can recite the first lines to all the attractions. Number 9, when you get in your car after work, in your head you hear, please remain seated, keeping your arms and hands inside the vehicle. Number 8, when you learn Spanish, so when you ride the monorail, you know what por favor, manténgase alejado de la puerta means.
Whoa.
Nice.
7, when you start rating pillow fluffiness.
Oh.
Whoa.
Number 6, when TOT no longer stands for little kid, but rather Tower of Terror.
Nice.
Number 5, when on your 20th visit, you realize the hydrolators don't really move.
Is it just take 20? I thought it would be more than that.
Number 4, when rides that have only been around a year or so seem old.
Yeah. Oh, that.
Number 3,
Filler Magic. When are they going to update that thing? Jeez.
Number 3, when Disney sends you a postcard after you've not visited for 3 months, wondering if you are okay. Number 2, when the highlight of your trip is you found a new hidden Mickey. And the number 1 way that you know you've been to Disney World too many times, when you gather a few friends together and start doing a podcast about Disney World.
Yeah, that's crazy, though. Who would do that?
So we thank Steve for that wonderful email. Our next email is from Russell Lim of Davis, California, who writes, I reserved a Magic Your Way package with a website called destinationsinflorida.com. They state that they are an authorized Disney vacation planner, and they are offering a discount of about $40. My question is, how reputable are these internet travel agents? They did fax me a confirmation of my reservation from the Walt Disney World Travel Company on their letterhead, but I cannot access the reservation from the website. I'm a little nervous about paying this company first for a reservation that I cannot verify through Disney.
Yeah, but my sister had the same problem, though. It's if you make a reservation over the phone, you can't verify it online. At least she couldn't the last time she had a reservation. So I think it's more a limitation for us all of Disney's computer systems than it is anything else.
Makes sense. I mean, the web isn't tied into the rest of the system necessarily.
Right, I don't think it is, so that's why.
Russell has a question also for, I believe, Mike Scopa. Once you figure out what the question is. I'm planning a Magic Your Way package trip in late August to take advantage of the free dining. I was wondering if the preferred rooms in Pop Century are worth the extra prices. I won't be able to check in until 7 o'clock p.m., so I'm concerned that I'll be out in the boonies, 80s and 90s. I understand that preferred is in the 60s, is a shorter walk to the food court and pool and the bus, and I have a bad back and can't walk too far without stopping. I do not need a disabled room, as I don't use a wheelchair.
That's a very tough question to answer because if I had 10 people who told me they had a bad back, I really couldn't judge as to how much of an impact it would be for them to have a preferred room rather than a non-preferred room. I do think that the way that Pop Century is laid out, that it's not really that much of a difference depending upon where you are at Pop. I think that you're relatively close to the center, to Classic Hall, to All Things Pop, to the bus station. So I really wouldn't be concerned. I mean, it's an extra. I think it's an extra $10 a night, and if you're staying a week, depending upon what time of the year you're staying, that's the cost of one night over the course of a week. So I really would say that it's not that. I don't really think it's worth paying the preferred room rate.
Okay. Well, whatever Mike Scopa says is good enough for me.
Yeah, I'd agree too. I just don't think it's worthwhile.
Our next email is from Chloe, who writes, Dear Matt, Mike, and Len, I've noticed this the last few times I've gone to the Walt Disney World and was wondering, what is the purpose of the Disney transportation buses that say in the destination window Mickey Mouse?
I think those are for cast members, aren't they?
Usually, I always thought whenever they have that or something like VIP cast member or something like that, I think they're training people. Like like training someone to drive a bus. That was my thought. It's not a bus full of characters that are just blowing by you.
I believe they don't want guests going up to the bus. If they see something like that and they don't recognize it, they won't go up to the bus. If they see VIP, or if they see Mickey Mouse, so that could be one of the reasons.
Our next email is from Chris Rosser, who writes, Do you think that Disney will extend or offer the free dining package later in the year. I'm looking at vacationing around Thanksgiving this year.
Probably not for Thanksgiving, but you never
I don't
know.
think so. No.
I would.
That's busy time of the year, so I mean, hurricane season's almost over, so I think they won't. Then again, it could be $100 a night. The way the ticket prices are going these days.
Yeah, really, it could be $100 a day to get in.
Sure, they'll offer it. It'll be called non-free dining.
Our next email is from John from Minnesota, and this is a question or suggestion for Len Testa. He can't decide which one it is.
Yeah.
I have a question which might lead to a suggestion for the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. I am not a mega planner when I go to Walt Disney World, but I do like to know the start times for each of the shows in the parks. I found Steve Soares' website where he posts entertainment schedules for the upcoming week each Saturday. However, one thing is missing from that schedule. Do you know if there's a resource on the web or in your or perhaps another book that lists the start times for attractions that are shows like Mickey's PhilharMagic, Hall of Presidents, The American Adventure, etc.? These shows must run on a schedule, I would think, so I thought that maybe someone would have that info on their website or in a book. I know it sounds a little weird to want to know this type of info, but here are a couple of examples why I like to know. First, say I'm in Norway and I have a schedule that shows reflections of China starting in about 5 minutes. Then I might want to head over to China quickly to check it out. Second, this time I am in Japan or Morocco. Notice on the schedule that Impressions de France does not start for another 20 minutes. Then I know I don't have to rush over to France to see it. One?
Well, France is actually pretty easy because it's every 30 minutes. And I think American Adventure is every 45 minutes or so, but that's actually part of the daily entertainment schedule. The tricky thing with things like Country Bears and some of the other attractions, like the film in China, is that the actual start time is going to vary depending on how quickly they're able to get guests in and out of the show. So, on average, let's take Country Bears, for example. We've actually timed this. So if you sit in Pecos Bills, for example, at the far end of the registers, the end closer to Adventureland, you can actually watch the exit to Country Bears open, and it's every 19 or 20 minutes the show should end. But if they've got people with wheelchairs, or if people just take a little bit longer for whatever reason to get in and out of the show, it kind of throws the schedule off. So, if you're doing 3 shows an hour and you're off by like a minute each show, then sometime around 1 or 2 o'clock, you're off by 20 minutes, and that pretty much blows your entire prediction. And that's really where you run into these things. Unless you've got a set show time, you're always going to be off by a few minutes one way or the other, just because you don't know how fast the crowds are loading.
Sure.
And I think that's why we can't do that. But I think the guide has a pretty decent approximation. Like, for example, for Country Bears, we say that it's like a 19-minute show. You add in 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes for loading and unloading, and then figure out how many times per hour you can do that, and that's a rough estimate.
Our next email is from Kathleen from Watertown, Massachusetts, who writes, "Hi guys, please thank Scopa for the Dole Whip pineapple float tip. I'm now convinced that he's the perfect man." You got low standards, Kathleen.
Is that all it took, Dole Whip? Wow.
I'm going to Walt Disney World with my family soon. My brother-in-law's 40th birthday will occur when we are there. Does anyone have any suggestions for a celebration? I was thinking maybe dinner at Raglan Road. Can you make advance reservations? We have 4 children ages 9, 7, 6, and 3, so we can't go too crazy. Thanks for the best podcast about Walt Disney World.
When are they going?
Soon.
I would have said Hoop-de-Doo.
Yeah, Hoop-de-Doo might be a little bit better than Raglan Road for the kids, because Raglan Road really doesn't get good till like 9 o'clock, and for a 3-year-old, that's a little tight. Hoop-de-Doo is more expensive than Raglan Road.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it'd be more memorable than Raglan Road. Well, depending upon if you're at Raglan Road with Manchester, that's a different story.
Yeah, I say with when I'm there, of course it's completely different.
It's like when Cheers used to, when Norm used to go on Cheers.
Norm. It's
now
Len.
when Len, it's Len.
Len. Exactly.
Top of the morning to you now, Len. Let's get back. Let's see. Yeah, Hoop-de-Doo would have been good. I'm
thinking maybe one of the restaurants that has a fun theme to it, like say
Whispering Canyon, Prime Time.
Whispering Canyon, Prime Time. Prime Time. Thank you. That's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, Whispering Canyon. Either one wouldn't be bad. And Whispering Canyon wouldn't require you to use a day of admission in your park. Yeah, that's not bad.
Whispering Canyon.
Whispering Canyon. Good choice.
Thanks.
And then the kids will love it too.
Well, I am the perfect man, so.
other than that particular thing, yeah. It's,
Time for one last email, I think, and that'll come from Tiffany from Brooklyn.
hurry up, my stomach is cramping, so let's get through this.
Tiffany from Brooklyn, New York writes, "Hey guys, just found your podcast and I love them. I was listening to episode 95 and was just wondering, does the Best Days calendar from touringplans.com, the best website ever, take into account the free dining plan that is between August and September? Thanks
I
for the
love
info
this
and
question.
keep up the great work. P.S. Would just like to thank all the people who put this info together."
Thanks very much. Yeah, so it does actually take into account the free dining plan. But here's the thing to note, Matt. I think we said this during the live show. If you look at how much Disney's promotions affect crowds, typically it's very little. For example, the 50th celebration, I think, increased resort numbers in Walt Disney World by something like 5 to 10%. I think the average was like 7%. And we know this because Disney actually said it in their 8K filing with the SEC earlier this year. So actually, there's a line in the entry that says something like, resort occupancy was up 7%, largely due to the increase in, or largely due to the Magic 50th anniversary promotion, whatever. So that they spent a lot of money marketing that particular thing, and they probably spent tens of millions of dollars marketing it. They got a 7% increase in resort occupancy because of that. For something like free dining, you're going to see less than 7% increase. My guess is you're not even going to see 5%. Now, to put that in perspective, if your wait at Space Mountain is 60 minutes, a 5% increase is going to be 5 minutes. No, wait, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Oh, I hope Newell can edit that out. He probably won't. It's a 3 minute increase, so you're going to go from like 60 to 63. That's really not noticeable. So and we knew this actually. And if you look at our dining plan, our crowd calendar for the dining plan period, that's why we do not increase it, because it would take many tens of thousands of people taking advantage of that offer every day. In fact, it'd be so many people that if Disney thought that the offer was that good, they'd have free dining all the time, right?
That's right.
But they don't. So the answer is, yeah, the crowd calendar takes it into account, and it's not going to be that much of an increase.
Glenn, can I join in on the touringplans.com Love Fest?
Why not? Sure.
Just a
The
quick,
more the merrier.
quick story. My girlfriend, who not despises, but hates the fact whenever I mention any of you guys to her because she's heard your names way too many times from me.
Oh yeah.
So she always is like, I don't care what Len says. We're going to Magic Kingdom on Sunday. So she's at Walt Disney World right now, and she calls me every day, and she goes, by the way, what does Len's site say about what park we should go to today? So it works, people.
There's a reason for that. Hey, one quick thing. Did I tell you about the? I know this isn't related directly to the crowd calendar, but we've been doing some water park research.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the best day to go to the water parks?
Sunday.
Ooh, God. What's the next best day?
Tuesday.
No,
Friday.
close.
Thursday.
Not Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturday. Wow.
Weekend. So if you look at, this is interesting. If you look at the days in July that the water parks closed because of capacity, every single day that they closed was a weekday, and in fact Thursday is the most common. I think every Thursday in July, Blizzard Beach closed.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So,
Len, we're gonna have to do a show about the water parks then coming up.
Yeah, so real quick thing. We're gonna add this to the crowd calendar, but weekends are the best days to go to the water parks, and it's always less crowded at Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach.
It's because they have worse slides over there.
Yeah, worse slides. Yes.
And
better engineered attractions or whatever.
Worse slides and the threat of being eaten by sharks.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, we have we'll get the best days calendar updated for that. But anyway, look forward to it.
Great. Well, that's it for us today. This has been episode 137 of Walt Disney World Today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com or lend us to Mike Scopa and Mike Newell. I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.